Welcome to episode 14 of the Bernie and Marley podcast. In this episode, we have Hannah Hernandez, a licensed therapist in the Temecula, California area, that is going to be talking about how social media can lead to depression. Comparing yourself to others can make you miserable. A great quote I read by Bill Murray says, "Social media is training us to compare our lives instead of appreciating everything we are. No wonder why everyone is always depressed." So without further ado, here's the one and only Hannah Hernandez. So in today's world, it seems like everybody on social media is posting all their highlight reels, all the good things. They're not showing nothing bad. They're showing all the vacations they're going on. From the point of view on the person viewing all these pictures, how is that affecting them?
So a lot of the times we're watching and wondering, why can't I be like that? Quite literally, half the time we can't. Photoshop is involved, fillers or things of that nature, surgery. A person can't attain these looks and these vacations. People Photoshop themselves on a vacation.
But why they do it though? What are they trying to get out of it? Are they trying to create an identity, something they want to be, but they can't? So
a lot of the times it's just a self-fulfillment. It's you're feeling good about yourself. You're feeling connected. Although it's a different connection than is actually going to fulfill you internally and emotionally, you're feeling special.
And this social media is pretty much like poison to our heads. It's giving us like bad information, a lot of negativity. It's scaring us from the world. How does that trigger us with our behavior?
I think we impulsively seek it out more and more. And we've all seen how the Facebook ads and Instagram and Twitter, everything is kind of like geared towards what you've been looking at. And so then you're reaffirming what you keep looking at, and then you're seeking it out again and again. It's actually inhibiting our ability to have a full picture, even though everything's available to us.
Social media apps really like play into that because you'll search things and then all of a sudden they know what you're looking at because you'll see more things in your stream. That's how they load you up with that, right?
Silicon Valley is making a killing on the technology and the IT involved in social media, on the influence it has. The reward center of your brain, the norepinephrine, the dopamine, those particular neurotransmitters are involved in the reward, the seeking out the reward, the pleasure. And when we get a like on social media, for example, that's triggered. You have dopamine surge and you feel good. And it increases your desire to seek it out more. And so they've really quite literally looked at this and said, this is how we're going to construct Facebook, for example. One of the founders went out and said, quite literally, this is what we're doing. We're using your biology against you.
Can you tell us what dopamine is for our viewers?
So it's a neurotransmitter in your brain, a chemical that helps move things around. And what it does, many things, it's involved in many things, but it's one of those neurotransmitters that's a little more famous, if you will, than others because it is involved in happiness. It triggers one to seek out things. So it's also involved heavily in addiction and things of that nature.
So pretty much like these people, every time they get a like, every time they get a share, someone comments, just dopamine just gets released into their brain.
Right. Just like, if someone shoots heroin in their vein, they're going to have that surge of dopamine that triggers them to want to continue to do this because it was a pleasurable experience.
And that fuels the addiction part because any addiction, it starts with the basis of that, right? They want that pleasure that they feel from that experience.
Exactly.
How do you think that really changes people's behaviors? Because people don't even realize that their normal behavior is no longer what it used to be because of the influence of seeking out this reward system, for instance. So, like, how does that really play on changes in behavior?
So a lot of the times we're laying in bed at night and instead of cuddling with our spouse, we're each on our phones looking through Instagram or whatever have you, we're getting more and more disconnected and more connected to our phones. So I think it's really affecting everyone's social skills in general, but also making us more isolated as a result.
I met up with a friend at a bar one time, and I asked him, hey, how was that trip? Like, oh, well, you liked it. You should know already everything I did.
Like, no point in conversation at that point.
Yeah, so I just feel like it kills the whole point of learning to meet that person, what they do for a living. So how does starting your day looking at your phone affect you? Like, the first thing you do when you wake up, you look at your phone, you start seeing all these people next to jets, next to cars, taking pictures.
Well, immediately it sets the tone, I'm less than, because maybe you don't have your private jet, or you didn't go to Costa Rica last week. Your lips are tinier than Kylie Jenner's. And so all of a sudden you're less than all these people you're seeing on social media. That is literally the start of your day. And it's really unfortunate, because then you're going to react to your day in a way that is not only significantly less positive, but it's going to be less productive.
Okay. Yeah, because I was a victim of that. I used to see like people going on vacation. Like, how the heck is he on vacation? Like, I know for a fact I make more money than, how come I can afford that stuff?
Well, those feelings of less than, carrying that throughout the day, I'm less than, you're going to be less productive. You're going to have less intimate relationships. And as a result, we're just getting more and more isolated, more and more depressed. We're not feeling fulfilled without some kind of recognition online.
That's where the likes are from. You get like, okay, if I get this amount of likes, I feel good. But if I get less than that, I'm gonna delete it. I seen people post pictures that didn't get that the amount of likes they wanted, and they just take it off right away.
Right. It's actually it makes them feel worse. And ideally, social media is connecting people and sharing in a way that, like, okay, look at this snippet, and then we can talk about it later. And that's really not what's happening. It's, I'm going to share this. I'm going to get some kind of fulfillment just in my brain. That's it. And then it's done.
Have you heard of FOMO?
Yes.
It's fear of missing out.
Yes.
So how does someone get the fear, like, I'm missing out, when you're just looking at a screen?
Well, you're not engaging in those things. So first and foremost, what am I doing wrong that I'm not engaging in those? How can I change this? And usually, instead of motivating us to change something, because it might not be real even, it motivates us to do less and to be less connected. The depression itself motivates a person to do less and be less connected. So it's really this cyclical effect where, okay, I'm not feeling good, I'm getting more depressed, I keep looking, it's not making me feel good. And as far as trying to engage, so there's been a lot of, for example, kids and teens in general with the, like, you only live once, and let's do these, what do they call them?
I heard about those.
Right.
It's a bunch of them, though.
They're going around, and I mean, my kids aren't even really involved in social media, and they know about them, and it's all these challenges that are actually really dangerous and scary. And it's twofold, especially with kids and teens, because their prefrontal cortex hasn't fully developed. So that's where we kind of learn to problem solve more and take less risks. And so with that not developed, it's more dangerous to, they're going to have less judgment in doing these things, first and foremost. But also, when we are talking about kids and teens, as adults, we're feeling disconnected and depressed because of the social media. Kids and teens are significantly more apt to feel that way. We grew up, and most of us, even me being a millennial, I feel like I was connected to my class, to my peers, to my community. And a lot of the kids aren't feeling that. And so there's less people in their lives to build them up.
I had friends that are like 35 years old, and they go on Instagram, on social media, and they look at pictures like 22-year-olds, 23-year-olds that have businesses. They're doing this. They have their own house already. And that 35-year-old, he's like, what am I doing with my life? Like, there's this kid here that is doing way better than me. Why? So he starts getting less depressed. I mean, he starts getting more depressed.
Right.
He's like, what am I doing wrong? He's always trying to look for like the quickest way out, the get rich scheme.
Yes, and that's actually another problem. I mean, it does increase that that risk of, okay, what am I going to do to get this? Because they got it quick. Why can't I get it quick? People are throwing money away on like the MLM marketing and things of that nature constantly, just trying to find something.
What was it Bitcoin? Remember when that was popular?
Yes,
It blew up.
The cryptocurrency.
There was people taking out school loans to put on Bitcoin.
Crazy.
And they would post on Instagram, oh, look how much I got in return. But that ended up plummeting though.
It plummeted significantly.
It went down. So
yes.
Everybody was, how should I say, an entrepreneur when everybody was investing in this.
Right. It's one of those things you just kind of jump on the bandwagon, hope, cross your fingers. You're feeling good when the initial people that were doing it knew what they were doing. Once the word gets out, it was almost like an MLM in that respect, because the first people, needed all these other people to make them rich. Then they jumped ship and they had their money. The rest of the people were just left with nothing.
What do you know about online harassment? Do you get any cases of people coming in with like talking to you about these problems?
Oh, absolutely. This isn't something that people had to deal with back in the day. And by back in the day, I mean even 10, 15 years ago. It's increased so significantly to where, adults, kids, teenagers are all feeling this pressure, not only, but also people get brave, right? Online, you don't have to face a person. You don't have to be in front of them and say, you know what? I don't like you. Or obviously it's way worse than that. It
destroys people. It even leads to like suicide.
Yes.
When you leave that one comment can destroy you.
Yeah. And I believe, gosh, what was it? I think it was a raise of like 24% suicide rate since like the 90s. I'd have to fact check that, but it's real close. And if you look at like what else has increased that much, well, our social media, our computer, our seemingly connection to the world.
So what is it that people, they just can't seem to get away from their phone? Like their phone has to be in front of them. They have to see it. When you go out to eat, you're with a friend, you go to a friend's house, that phone has to be right next to you, has to be placed on the table when you're eating.
I think it goes back to dopamine and that instant reward and that desire to seek out the instant reward. I'm guilty of it myself with Google. Like, okay, Google it. And you know what? I have an answer immediately. I don't have to go to the library and look through a book or go
ask
to
somebody.
Or ask somebody that might know. Right, exactly. And it is addicting to an extent.
Yeah, I know I've fallen victim to that because there'll be times where I'm like, where's my phone at? Where's my phone at? And just knowing that it's next to me is like, okay, I'm one of those people. Major
anxiety. And you'll get anxiety if you lose your phone. Or I left mine at home one day and went to work, and it was like a piece of me was quite literally gone. I felt just wrong all day.
Did you try to figure out ways to go home and get it?
Hey, quick question. Would you rather lose your car keys or lose your phone?
I actually have had a lot of experience with both. But I would have to say my car keys.
Wow. Okay. What do you know about detoxing? Detoxing, to people, from what they told me, is they stay away from social media for like 2 weeks.
A month. Something.
A month.
An extended period of time.
So it's really interesting. I've done a lot of work in substance abuse, and detox in that nature, it's taking a while to get the chemical out of your system, right? That's your like medical detox portion. And then you go to this mental detox, and that can take years, where 8 years down the road, you might have a couple days where your transmitters and your brain chemicals are all messed up. You woke up bad, you have a headache, you feel grumpy, and you're irritable. And that just kind of happens because your brain is still trying to rewire itself to what, quote unquote, normalcy would be for you. And it's very similar with social media or, detox from your phone. It's going to be that mental detox that lasts even longer.
So what is it that we can do to make ourselves better, improve our lifestyles, not feel that guilt of like, I'm not doing anything with my life, this person here. Obviously, you don't want to get out of social media.
Right. I think social media has its place in our world today, and it can be very, very positive. We have the ability to be linked to so many people, across the world. I mean, I have friends across the United States. I have friends across the world that I would have never had 20 years ago had I not had social media. However, to engage in conversation or to use social media as more of maybe schedule a time for yourself where you look at it as opposed to frequently throughout the day. I think scheduling those type of things, picking up the phone and calling people, really making an attempt to reach out in person as much as possible to the humans around us, even if it's just smiling at someone walking by you in the mall. It really does make a difference, and not only to yourself, but that person as well.
I had a friend that was selling a product on Facebook and Instagram, and she only shared it to her friends. That's it. Like, only her friends can see it. It's like, hey guys, can you support me? I'm selling this, I'm selling that. But nobody decided to buy from her. She replied like the next day, you guys are assholes.
Oh no.
Not supporting me. But you'd rather support a rapper who you don't even know nothing about, who's not gonna do any difference to your life. How did it get there? Like, what did that person felt? Was she upset at the world?
I think in part it goes to like the bullying we talked about earlier, where it's a lot easier to expect and say things to people that you're not in front of. Had she made a pitch to her family and friends in person, I think first and foremost that would have taken a lot more guts. It's harder to try to sell something or decide who you're going to try to sell it to when you have to look them in the eye and really decide, okay, I value this human in front of me. Do I think that they need this product? Really? Do I, and getting wrapped up in that, it's just the comfort of being behind a screen.
And her friends rejecting her.
Right.
Do you believe in that strangers will support you more than friends and family?
I think if it's on social media, that could happen. I mean, if you look at comments, any kind of comments that on any public profile, most people don't know each other on there.
Yeah. Going a little off topic here about marketing. The problem was with what she was doing is she was only aiming towards her 400 friends. Like me doing this podcast, I got 325 on Instagram. I don't aim towards them. I'll post it so you can see it, but I buy Facebook ads, I buy Instagram ads.
Right.
At the end of the day, it shows me 20,000 people viewed it. I got 1,000 likes on it. People went to go check out the episode. So it's just not depending on just that little circle. Don't stay in that little bubble.
I agree completely. I mean, we're not, with the salesmen that go door to door, they're not going to just knock on their parents' door because that's one sale. Maybe if they're feeling bad for you. Whereas if you're really engaging door to door, knocking it out day in and day out, which that's part of a business, you really have to reach out. You have to identify your target audience and put more thought into it than the get rich quick type of thing, which is maybe more so what that particular friend was in it for.
Yeah, you can't get rich off the little circle you're in.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, another one, online harassment. That person doing it, why are they doing it? Why are they talking all this trash to these people who are trying to do good to the world, who are trying to give advice? They comment, oh, you suck, just give up. Like, it's horrible. A lot of the times,
I mean, similar to bullies in elementary school or high school, for example, it makes them feel better. It's more self-affirming for them to knock somebody else down. If that person is less than you, well, then you're higher, right? So it feels good. And a lot of the times, stereotypically bullies are people that maybe their home situation isn't the best, or they're doing really poorly in school. Maybe they have an undiagnosed learning disability, or, there's something that's triggering it where their self-esteem is already low.
Wow. I never got to that point. Like, I've seen so many videos on YouTube about so many products. I have never in my life left one bad comment.
Right.
So
I can't imagine.
I only leave good comments. That's it.
I think it kind of goes to that, what our like grandparents and parents, like if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. You need to really be careful who you're delivering constructive criticism to, and you have to be careful how you're delivering that constructive criticism because it can turn really easily.
What advice do you have for people going through social media depression?
I think take some time off, engage with the humans in your life. You will quickly find that you have relationships that probably need to be worked on. You're probably more disconnected than you expected, whether it be from your spouse, your friends, your kids even. We all want to relax when we get home and your kids are running around and you're not engaging, that kind of thing. So take some time away from it. Schedule a time, like I said earlier, where, okay, you know what, maybe not right away in the morning, maybe not right before bed, but 7 to 8 p.m. I get to look at Instagram and Facebook and just limit it.
What about people that are like, I need somebody to tell me something nice. I need somebody to tell me I look good. I need to post. Nobody's telling me this because I'm not on social media right now.
Well, I think that's in part why people like me, therapists, are around, because there's some real internal work that needs to be done. And speaking to a professional is going to be really essential in learning why the outside matters so much as opposed to gaining self-worth from the inside.
And self-worth is a big topic right now. It's actually one of the top search things on Google right now. Self-worth. Oh, wow. What is self-worth?
Well, sorry. I mean, it can mean a lot of different things coming from whoever's saying it, but I think it's how you view yourself and how you are personally measuring whatever it may be about yourself, whether it be your looks or your judgment or your friends or your spouse or your spouse's looks or how smart you feel you are or successful or how much money you have. And everybody's ideals in those things are going to be a little different. So I think it depends on the person, but social media, again, is kind of warping it all into self-worth, because
right. With self-worth, like me, myself, on Instagram, I'm this whole different person. Everybody likes me. They're commenting. They look up to me. They want me to post all the time. But when you meet me in real life, I'm not that person. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't feel self-worth in the real world.
Right. And I think gaining that self-worth with people in person, we're missing connection, and it's invaluable. I mean, disconnection, I should say, is linked to mental health problems. It's linked to addiction problems. It's so essential, and it should be part of the conversation in self-worth, because our self-worth is automatically going to increase if we feel connected.
Another thing is identity. They use social media as their identity. Like, no, this is me right here. I like this person on Instagram. I like who I am on Facebook. People, they use their job also as an identity. If I lose my job, I'm nothing. I'm nobody. Mm-hmm. So can that be another thing, like self-worth? I
think so. I mean, it's really unfortunate because who are you without that then? It goes, like you said, with your job even, or I think we've all been in some kind of situation where, this really defines me. I feel like this is who I am, and nothing is permanent. Nothing is inevitable. I almost went real dorky and did a Thanos thing right now, but
should have done.
Okay. Do those around here.
We do some dumb things too.
Like, I'm inevitable. Nothing's inevitable, and I think that really looking at your life holistically, from maintaining balance. If you're eating and you're working out and you're engaging with people around you and you're seeking out a job that you feel good at, not one that you think is going to make you money, but where you actually feel like you matter and you feel internally like you're doing a good job at this. Those are the type of things that are going to be healthier in defining you as a person.
So, Hannah, if I asked you, who is Hannah outside of social media?
outside of social media, I am a mother, I am a partner, I'm crass and sarcastic. That doesn't always come across on social media because I am a professional and I'm trying to emit a, professional outlook on things. And, I'm silly and I'm klutzy and I walk into walls. And I wouldn't put that on social media.
Real quick, do you think, like, in the long run, like, the disconnect that people get with social media will, like, really affect them? Because, like, let's go back to, like, teens and, young adults. They're very impressionable. You feel so much at that age, just because I remember, like, certain things that really matter don't really matter in the scheme of things, but to them it does.
Right.
Do you think it's ultimately going to hurt them if they can't learn to balance out the real world and the social media world? Because I think it's all about perception and image and status, and people want to feel good in that reward.
Right.
Do you think it will really, like, play a part in the disconnect that they might have to deal with because they're more of the digital age than maybe, like, let's say, like, elder millennials or things like that?
Right. I think that, for example, my 6-year-old, or she's not going to be able to do a YouTube video and get a job teaching, right?
Yeah.
Or be a veterinarian. There's things you need to do. There's interactions you need to have to prove yourself. And that requires meeting people, being able to talk to people in person, and, being fulfilled as a person so that you have the motivation to continue to seek these things out.
Right? So they're like a normal interacting adult, because humans by nature are social.
Right.
We don't like to be by ourselves. We don't like to be isolated. We get depressed. We get upset. So, human interaction is very important. And I think that's getting lost in this day and age. Especially with that disconnect. Social media. It's so much easier to be behind the screen. I know personally, I'm like, I'll sit there, let me just answer back, and then I don't have to do anything with it because message is gone and sent, received. I don't know.
Well, how many times do we forget to text back? Like, that's more engaging than a lot of what we do in social media and online and with our phones. And we just forget to. And it's really unfortunate. If someone were in front of you, you would never forget to say hi or respond to a question, because that's not how the world works. So we can't rely solely on that. Our brains aren't really made to operate that way.
Would you say a lot of people, the problem is with a lot of people is that they like hiding behind the screen?
Absolutely. You can be anybody behind the screens, which, in of itself, recently there was some guy, I saw an article where he had photoshopped himself at the festival, and he was just at home chilling, like, and all the pictures were taken at a park. But he photoshopped himself in all these amazing pictures, and it looked like he was living the time of his life. He didn't. And I think he did it to prove a point, because his followers, either they called him out or they didn't, but he said he didn't actually go eventually.
Yeah. He was just showing how easy it is to get people to think that they are just living it up.
I saw that.
Hashtag living their best life.
Right. When you look at the retirement homes, for example, my partner and I are looking at going to one next week to talk about how to thrive in the here and now. And, they've got all these activities scheduled, and these people aren't going to the activities. They're sitting in their rooms alone. If you imagine, millennials and beyond that don't even interact now, what are they going to do when they get older?
We're going to end up like the people on Wall-E.
Right.
Where they don't interact.
What can our viewers do? Say they're going to be listening to this, they're going through that social media depression. What can they do to get help?
I think reach out to family and friends, reach out to a therapist. There really is an addictive component to this. There's a self-image component. All those things can be addressed in therapy, and because it really brings the focus back on you. And that's what's important. Limit your screen time. Limit your kids' screen time. Make sure you know what they're doing, teenagers and kids online. All these things are so essential.
And what about the people that don't admit it? Like, oh, nothing's wrong with me. I'm okay. I'm not depressed. But you know, like as a friend, you know they're depressed. Like, hey, this stuff's making you stressed out, man. Like, you can't get that car doing this kind of job.
Right. I mean, maybe don't say that, but
Yeah.
Reach out to your friends. I mean, if you realize, you're one of the enlightened ones that realizes that human connection, in person or on the phone is really essential to your life, then reach out to your friends that don't.
So how can our audience find you?
So on social media, we do have a website. It's thriveforlifetherapy.com. You can email me at hannah@thriveforlifetherapy.com. My number is 951-223-5068.
Okay, now I got a very important question for you. What do you want your audience to know?
I think in general that human connection is so essential, and it's a facade that we are getting more connected. We're really getting more disconnected. So reach out to each other. The increase in mental health issues, my business partner and myself see it constantly, the increase in addiction issues. Just reach out to each other. Be nice to each other. Love each other. Seek out positivity.
And there you have it, folks. If you would like to reach Hannah Hernandez for professional help, you can see her email and her number down at the show notes. She is a licensed therapist in the Temecula, California area. And before we end this episode, I want to read out something to you guys. Don't let social media fool you. There are people with only 3 to 9 likes who have plenty of friends. People with 100 plus likes who are lonely as fuck. Couples who look so happy together yet are miserable as hell. People who don't post pictures of themselves and their significant other but are in a beautiful, loving relationship. People who know each other very well but appear as strangers. People who are up to their necks in debt yet live a lavish social media lifestyle. Remember, this is not real life. Appearances are just that, appearances.